Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this video I'll be grading every single team in the 2022 NFL Draft. Watch until the end to find out. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and let's get into the video. Let's start out with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona and their general manager set a questionable tone at the draft by giving up a first rounder for Marquise Brown to appease Kyle Murray. That trade reunited him with his college quarterback. McBride was the best tight end on the board, but it wasn't in need with Zach Ertz and Matt Williams back in the mix. They did well working on their front seven needs in the draft this year, so my draft grade for the Arizona Cardinals is a C. There's no doubt that the Atlanta Falcons general manager addressed all the team's glaring needs in the draft, going down the line with wide receiver and pass rusher. The combination of Drake London and Kyle Pitts should give a needed boost to the Falcons' passing game. Their general manager addressed the team's other major needs in the draft on day 2, strengthening a poor pass rush, while also landing an athletic second-level defender in Anderson and smartly nabbing a potential future starter in Ritter. So my draft grade for the Atlanta Falcons is a B+. The Baltimore Ravens once again show that they can find great value. The Ravens got one of the best safeties to appear in the draft in years. They got the best center to appear in the draft in years. Trading Marquise Brown to the Cardinals not only made room for the 2021 first-rounder Bateman to develop. They had 6 fourth-round picks, the most in a single draft since 1970. Baltimore found a new massive right tackle and found 2 corners to rebuild their depth, and 2 tight ends. Given the injuries Baltimore suffered at running back last year, getting the nimble and speedy Tyler in the 6th round made sense. So my draft grade for the Baltimore Ravens is a solid A. They are a team that's doing the best they can with the reality that they will be consistently selected in the back end of the first round for a long time. The Buffalo Bills got the cornerback they needed in round 1 by trading up to select him, whose feisty attitude and quickness on the outside should translate at the next level. Cook is exactly the sort of speedy receiver threat the team need at the runner back position. Overall, my draft grade for the Buffalo Bills is a solid A. There weren't many opportunities at the plate for the Panthers in the draft, but overall I think they made the most out of the draft this year. The Carolina Panthers play the quarterback market well. They landed the talented Matt in the 3rd round, paying the reasonable price of a 2023 3rd round pick to move up for him, while greatly improving the offensive line in the draft. They had previously traded 2nd round and 4th round picks in the deal for Sam Darnold though. That investment has yet to pay off. Overall, the Carolina Panthers had a pretty good draft, and my draft grade is a A-. The Chicago Bears didn't have a first round pick because of the 2021 draft day trade to select Justin Fields. They did address their primary needs in secondary by grabbing 2 likely rookie stars in Gordon and Brisker. Jones gives the team depth at receiver and a punt return option, even if he might only end up signing 1 contract with the team because he will be a 25-year-old rookie. They did address their offensive line on day 3 of the draft, and overall my draft grade for the Chicago Bears is a solid C. The Cincinnati Bengals' disappointing Super Bowl loss was because of the pass defense. They selected 2 versatile athletes in Hill and Tyler Britt to bolster the secondary in the draft. Carter has the potential as an inside playmaker, but time will tell if he was the best option at the position of need. Cordell is a tough player who shifted between guard and tackle. Anderson's speed and tenacious nature and Jeffrey's power on the edge made them very good day 3 selections. So my draft grade for the Cincinnati Bengals is an A-. Cleveland gave up 3 first-round picks in the trade for Deshaun Watson, and that sets the direction of the franchise for the foreseeable future. Now Cleveland has their new quarterback. Overall, the rest of the draft for the Browns was pretty good, but they didn't get more by choosing not to trade Baker Mayfield during the draft. My overall draft grade for the Cleveland Browns is a solid B. The Dallas Cowboys went down the line with Jerry Jones to get their most pressing needs, starting with interior run blocker and Smith an outside pass rusher in Williams. Smith could be a dominant run blocker if he's able to improve his patience and technique as he matures. They got good value in Tolbert, who could become a downfield threat. Dallas traded Amari Cooper, and that got them a 5th round from the Cleveland Browns, which is a cheap price relative to the cost of what other talented receivers this offseason. I think it's a great move that the Cowboys took Clark in the 5th round, even though he's unlikely to play in 2022. He could prove to be well worth the investment once healthy. My draft grade for the Dallas Cowboys is a solid B. The Russell Wilson trade was a big part of Denver's draft class this year. They used a pick that they required in the Von Miller trade to add an explosive pass rusher in Nick. Denver found a potential replacement for pass catcher tight end Noah Fant, who was sent to Seattle in the Wilson deal. Their overall draft was pretty great this year, and my draft grade for the Denver Broncos is a solid A. It's really possible that the Detroit Lions got the best defender available this year at number 2 in Aiden and the best receiver in the draft at number 12 in Williams. Picking the talented pass catcher was a bit of a risk, given the draft capital they parted with to trade up for him and the fact that he is coming off an ACL tear. The Lions could be the most improved team in the NFL next year because of this class, so my draft grade for the Detroit Lions is a solid A. 2 Georgia defenders made their way to Green Bay front 7 in need of youth and quickness, which made a lot of sense given the price other teams pay for receivers early in the first round. Walker does fill a key defensive need, and backing him up with fellow Georgia product Wyatt up front made it even better. Green Bay traded up to get Watson, a potential outside replacement for number 1 Devontae Adams. The Green Bay Packers had a pretty good draft this year, and my draft grade is a solid A. The Houston Texans selected a few guys who could be great with their first 3 picks. A powerful guard/tackle Green and a competitive, versatile defensive back Jalen. Josh and Harris should also become solid starters if they're able to consistently secure passes and find the ball on defense, respectively. Pierce will compete for every yard, and Booker's a smart, active interior player. The Texans should sign multiple undrafted free agent edge rushers to bolster that group since they failed to select one. So my draft grade for the Houston Texans is a solid B. Their general manager and the Colts were effective in addressing needs without a first-round pick in the draft. The reason why they don't have a first-round pick is because of the ill-fated trade for Carson Wentz, which cost them a first-round pick. They were able to make up for it somewhat on day 2 with a few solid picks at the positions of need. The Colts secured the athletic Woods, an up-and-coming left tackle in Bernhard, and a playmaker and safety in Cross. Eric Johnson's quickness off the snap made him one of the best non-combine invites in the draft. And Brits is an undersized thorn in the side of offensive linemen. They do have work to do after the draft, with a need to gather interior offensive linemen, receivers, and runner backs to fill out the back end of the roster. So my draft grade for them is a B-. The Jacksonville Jaguars had the first pick of the NFL draft this year. The selection of Walker with the first overall pick will ultimately be judged based on whether he has a better career than the other top edge rushers in this year's draft. Lloyd and Chow are good linebackers, though the team used draft capital to trade up for the former and then doubled down on the position with the latter on day 2. Picking Fortner, a replacement for retired center Brandon Linder, was a solid move. Junior was one of the top non-combine invites in the draft because of his ability and size. The Jaguars sent a 5th and a 7th rounder to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and gained a 4th round selection next year, and that's a good swap. That could turn into a future contributor or material for a trade. So my draft grade for the Jacksonville Jaguars is a B+. The Kansas City Chiefs were very methodical in addressing their needs and gained great value everywhere, starting with their 2 first-rounders, McDuffie and George, to boost the pass defense. McDuffie's cover skills and aggressiveness rather than his lack of size and length, and George's superior hand usage and leverage rather than his lack of bend off the edge. Sky Moore was a perfect pick to help replace big play punch of Tyreek Hill for Patrick Mahomes, and overall he will fit nicely in this offense. Williams has the size, speed, combination to excel on the outside, as does Watson, who could have been picked 2 rounds earlier in the draft. So my draft grade for the Kansas City Chiefs is a solid A. The Las Vegas Raiders went to work later after giving up their 1st and 2nd round picks for Devontae Adams. They got the ideal run blocker inside in Dillon, and White could be more of their head coach's type of running back. White is a speedy back with power who could have been picked in the 3rd round. Las Vegas took Brown in the 7th round to make sure they had plenty of options at running back. So my draft grade for the Las Vegas Raiders is a B+. The Los Angeles Chargers mostly recognized what they needed to pick to contend now by drafting Johnson. He helps fortify a trouble spot on the offensive line with his mobility and toughness, making him an excellent selection. Getting Khalil Mack with the second-round pick was necessary to compete in the pass-happy AFC West. And third-rounder Woods would contribute at nickel or safety in the secondary right away. Los Angeles should consider looking for one of the top undrafted free agent edge rushers in the offseason. So my draft grade for the Chargers is at A-. The Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals, thanks to the trades of the first and second round picks from Matthew Stafford and Von Miller. Picking Logan in the third round met a major need for the team in the 2022 season and beyond. Then again, their head coach has proved they don't need much from the draft for their team to remain a contender and take a shot at another Super Bowl with their veteran core. So my draft grade for the Los Angeles Rams is a B-. The Miami Dolphins had a quiet draft for their general manager and their new head coach, Mike. Miami didn't have any early picks because of the trades for receivers Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are very great players. Only time will tell whether the lost draft capital was too high of a price to pay for them. The Dolphins did not draft a center, potentially leaving Michael to handle those duties, but did find a potential backup quarterback in Skyler. So my draft grade for the Miami Dolphins is a B-. The Minnesota Vikings secondary needed help and got two immediate contributors in Lewis and Booth, who would have been a first rounder if not for injuries. They are great, fantastic players, so their secondary can learn well from Harrison Smith and Patrick Peterson. Evans is athletic, big body corner worth a fourth round pick, but patience would have been a better play than giving up a 2023 fourth round pick. Overall, they had a pretty nice draft this year, so my draft grade for the Minnesota Vikings is a solid B. The New England Patriots traded down in the first round to gain picks in the draft. With their first pick of the draft, they selected Cole Strange. He is a solid player who will play for a decade, but hasn't expected to be selected in the top 50. He was selected in the first round. Jack Jones is another small but feisty corner who could beat out veterans who underperformed last year. New England didn't have the best draft this year, so my draft grade for the New England Patriots is a solid C. The New Orleans Saints traded away future capital before the draft started to secure another first-round pick this year. They moved up to secure the services of speed wide receiver Chris. O.T. Trevor is a fair value to play left tackle in the absence of longtime starter Teron Armstead. New Orleans jumped the board a bit, picking Taylor in the top 50. Though he does have the size and quickness to play at the next level. Both Jacksons that they picked up in the draft are solid picks who add strength and quickness to the Saints' defense at linebacker and defensive line. So my draft grade for the New Orleans Saints is a C+. The New York Giants' new general manager took firm grip on the Giants' top 7 picks to get a talented pass rusher in Kayvon and a massive right tackle, who could play guard or left tackle. Their general manager also traded down twice in the draft before grabbing a tough, undersized receiver in Robinson. They found an unappreciated guard/tackle combo in Joshua in the draft. So my draft grade for the New York Giants is a B+. The New York Jets fans are thrilled to see their team got an outstanding corner in Gardner, elusive receiver in Wilson, and power rusher in Johnson all in the first round. Their general manager moved up to get Johnson and Hall in the draft without losing significant value. Mitch will be at least a valuable swing tackle on Sundays, if not a starter on the right side. New York had a nice draft this year, and my draft grade for the Jets is a solid A. They pulled off an excellent draft, making great trades with the Colts in the last year's Carson Wentz deal and with acquiring future picks from the Saints before the event even started. The Saints secure a beast on the defensive line in Davis to improve their run defense and require veteran A.J. Brown from the Titans to bolster the receiving group. They also add another linebacker in Johnson that was a bit of a surprise. So my draft grade for the Philadelphia Eagles is a A+. The Steelers' general manager had a clear mission in his last draft before stepping down. Made the Steelers' offense complete and downright dangerous downfield in the passing game again in the wake of Big Ben's retirement. Pickett was convenient in-town first rounder with his deep ball accuracy and his athleticism ideal for the offensive coordinator. Pittsburgh needed depth on defense as well. But since no selections were made on that side of the ball, you can bet they will try to land some undrafted rookie free agents. So my draft grade for the Steelers is a A-. The 49ers made a great first pick to fit their complementary pass rusher needs away from Nick Bosa with Jackson in the second round. It won't be clear whether trading a first-round pick for Trey Lance was the right move until we see him on the field. LaQuick Davis and cover man Castro Fields will contribute as rookies and outperform their draft status. Overall, this was a tough draft without a first-rounder for the 49ers. So my draft grade for the San Francisco 49ers is a -C. With the effect of the Russell Wilson trade will determine the direction of this franchise for the future. I give the Seahawks the credit for knowing their identity well, with Pete Carroll and their general manager drafting accordingly. Cross and Lucas should be a solid set for back-end tackles, in which the team was in dire need of. We'll see if the Seahawks trade for Baker Mayfield or roll with Drew Lock, since they didn't select a quarterback. Seattle also didn't pick up a linebacker to help up for the loss of Bobby Wagner. So my draft grade for the Seahawks is a solid B. Tampa Bay traded out of the first round still got Hall. They met their tight end need with the first pick in the 4th round, Cade, who would have been day 2 selection if healthy this year. McCollum was a great pick in the 5th, especially given the team's need for depth. So my draft grade for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a B-. Tennessee chose to trade away A.J. Brown instead of paying the veteran receiver and found a potential replacement in Burt's. He has a similar skill set, can turn into the same kind of strong wide receiver. They drafted a young quarterback in Willis, and his skill set gives him a real shot at being a playmaker down the line for Tennessee. He was an absolute steal. Tennessee should add more rookie edge rushers and offensive linemen in the offseason. So my draft grade for the Tennessee Titans is a solid A. The Washington Commanders were able to recoup the 3rd-rounder loss in the Carson Wentz deal, with a day 1 draft trade with the Saints, while finding a quick and sure-handed receiver in Dawson to help Wentz succeed and complement wide receiver Terry. Mathis will be a solid rotational player, and Robson has the speed, power, and combination to be a good NFL back. Washington addressed the safety spot as it was a must on the day of the draft, and Butler was the best choice. They also drafted a quarterback out of North Carolina, and his name is Sam. He could prove to be an excellent pick in the 5th round whether or not he steps in for Wentz as a rookie. So my draft grade for them is a solid C. So those are my 2022 NFL draft grades for every team. Who do you guys think was the best pick in the NFL draft? Join me in the comment section down below and tell me what you guys think. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that notification bell to be notified of new videos in the future. Make sure you share this video with friends and family, and please get this video out there. My name is Nathan, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to just keep loving sports, and I'll see you next time.